What's up guys, today I have something special for you. I have set up 5 puzzles, ranging from the difficulty very easy to actually pretty hard. And I am trying to see if you can outsmart me. And believe me, you will learn something new today. Because I doubt that you know all of these. If you do, make sure to let me know in the comments though. But let's get started with puzzle number 1. Welcome to room 1. You are in a huge bedrock tower and you have some items in your inventory. A water bucket, a slime block, and a scaffolding. Seems like we need to clutch, right? Well, kind of. Your goal is to die. Make sure to pause the video if you want to solve it. But I'll give the first hint right now, because there will be a hint for each of the rooms. Hint number 1 is to take a good look at your items. Alright, so here's the solution. First of all, what doesn't work? Using the scaffolding doesn't work, because every time you jump down, no matter how you place it, you survive and take no fall damage. For the slime block, you might remember a trick, where if you stand on the edge of the slime block, that it's not bouncy anymore. However, this was fixed in the new versions, so in the older versions, yes, you could have died with that. But in the newer version, no matter how you place the slime block, you will always bounce. Even though I'm exactly on the edge right now. So the water bucket has to be the clear answer. There's actually multiple solutions using the water bucket. One of them is to just place it anywhere, swim inside, and drown yourself, which allows you to die. But this is not actually the solution I came up with originally. But if you found that out, nice. Here's the solution I came up with when I built this puzzle. It is a water reverse clutch. So you can place your water down, giving you an empty bucket, and then your goal is to remove the water below you, so you take fall damage. This is actually pretty hard, so it might take a few tries, but you can just swim back up the water if necessary. There we go. That's a reverse water clutch. For room 2, you find yourself in a bedrock box, encased with a barrier roof. And you have a large lava pit to cut across to finish the level. I know this might seem familiar from some YouTube shorts, but as you can already see, we have an elytra. But nothing else. Our inventory is completely empty except for that elytra. How do you get across this pit? The hint for this level is that we have to use objects in the room. And here's the solution. The solution is called elytra jumping. You might know that if you jump and then keep repeatedly pressing space upon landing, you can build up some speed using the elytra. However, this alone is not enough to cross this large pit. That's why we have to use this door right here. If we stand inside the door like this and then open it, we can glitch inside it and gain some elevation, which is very useful for our elytra jumps, because that allows us to build up momentum. Let me demonstrate. I did definitely not just fail. Let me demonstrate. And there we go. We've made it. But now, let's stop with these easy puzzles. We're gonna ramp up the difficulty quite a bit. For puzzle number 3, you find yourself encased in a large bedrock wall, with 2 rooms in front of you, room 1 and room 2. By the way, this is inspired by a Skeppy video I saw a couple of years back. And I, as the game master, can tell you, one of these rooms contains a chest, while the other one doesn't. Or is it the other way around? We may never know. And I'm telling you, if you open the room with the chest inside, you win $100. If you open the room with nothing inside, you will die. Now this may seem like a 50-50 at first, but your task is to find out in which room the chest is, with 100% certainty. And by the way, before you think about breaking any blocks or opening the door, to just check, as soon as you do any of that, your answer will be locked in. Here's a hint. You may need some special Minecraft settings to solve this one. And here's the solution. The first, and in my opinion easier way, is to F5 glitch. So you just go into your options, turn your FOE all the way up, and then you go into F5 and sort of smack your head against the wall. And then you can see that there's a chest in room number 1. The second option, which is hilariously more complicated, might be familiar to some of you speedrunners or seasoned Minecraft veterans. It is to use the pie chart. You can bring up the coordinate menu using F3, and then in the newer versions, F3 and 1 toggles the pie chart. This pie chart allows us to see things around you that are behind walls. For example, chests. If we press on the pie chart, we press 3 for tick, 3 for level, and then 2 for block entities. In my case, you'd have to press on some other numbers maybe. We can see that a chest is loaded in, a bell, and a sign, and some unspecified things. We only care about the chest. The next step is to realize that the two rooms are in different chunks. Meaning, either the chest is in this chunk right here, or in this chunk right here. This allows us to locate the chest. Now, how do we actually do this? Well, the first step would be to turn down the render distance down to 2. Now only the two rooms are loaded, and if we press the pie chart, or if we bring up the pie chart, we can see that a chest is loaded in right now. But how do we actually use this to locate a chest? In speedruns, this is used to locate the fortress, or the blaze spawners rather. But we can also locate a chest around us. Because right now, if I bring up F3, you can see that a chest is loaded in, which makes sense because it's in one of these rooms. And you always have to know that around the player, there is an area loaded in of 2 chunks, plus 1 extra for lazy loading. Right now, as you can see, I can't see the building anymore, but I still see the chest. So we always have to add 1 to our render distance to know when we've loaded something in. But the goal is to go so far away from the building until the chest no longer shows up on the pie chart, which is right here. Now we know the chest is not within 3 chunks. But if I step this way, there we go, we've loaded it in. Now we know it is exactly within 3 chunks. So we count. This is 1, this is 2, and then here's the 3rd chunk. So we know it is in this chunk. And it's not under 4 chunks, because then it would have loaded in 1 later. So we know it is in room 2. However, this might not have been entirely obvious, so let me do it from the other side. So we keep walking away until the chest unloads. For that we have to keep refreshing our pie chart. It's still there, and there we go, now it's gone. And if we walk this way, we see we've loaded it in. Now we have to add our render distance with the 1 bonus, and we know it's within 3 chunks. So 1, 2, and 3. We already know it's within this chunk, not this one. So it has to be room 1, which it is. Wait, what's this? Oh, you should subscribe. But this next one is a little bit more logical, if you will. This simple redstone circuit is an AND gate. And what this does is basically it inverts an input. So if both this redstone torch is powered and this one is powered, then it will activate a redstone line, activating this dispenser back there, shooting a firework. And that's exactly what your goal is. You want this dispenser back there to shoot a firework. Now the redstone is encased in barriers, so all you'll be able to break is this repeater and the pressure plate. Everything else is securely behind barriers. But you also have some extra items at your disposal. Number 1, a crafter. Number 2, an oak log. Redstone dust, an observer, and a couple of building blocks. The hint for this one is that there's again multiple solutions involving the items you have, so make sure to think carefully. So the first solution I originally came up with is to use the leaves, because these are not just unsuspecting building blocks, no, they can send a redstone signal. What you have to do is to place an observer into this block, which will power this repeater, and then you can add a couple of leaves to the side of it. Add your oak log to leaves and you quickly stand on the pressure plates, which will fire the firework, granting you victory. The other solution has to do with pressure plates, because this stone pressure plate does not want to activate if you throw items upon it, so if this was your idea, it doesn't work with a stone pressure plate. But we have some materials to make it work. We can use our oak log to make planks and then pressure plates. With oak pressure plates, they can be activated by an item. So basically what we're going to do is we're going to put a redstone dust into this block right here, which will activate the repeater, put a wooden pressure plate and throw an item. This will permanently disable torch number 1, and then we can just stand on the second one, which will also fire the firework. If you came up with any of these, congrats, and if you have another solution, make sure to tell me in the comments. And now this is puzzle 5. If you know how to solve this, I'll consider you a Minecraft pro, because I've never actually seen anyone use this. But, basically, you have this floating staircase right here, and your goal is to fall the most amount of blocks without dying, which is 23 blocks. Or let me rephrase it, I'll give you 10 imaginary dollars for each heart you take damage off, but if you die, you lose everything. The hint for this one is that you have to use the F3 menu. And here's the solution. We all know that F3 menu displays our Y coordinate, which right now would be negative 32, negative 33, negative 34, and so on. But how do we find out how high this is? Because if you know how high this is and how high we are, we can calculate the distance in between and find out which one of these blocks gives us 23 blocks of distance, meaning we survive on half a heart and win the most amount of money possible. Well, usually we can look at a block and we can see a targeted block and its coordinate. However, this does not go all the way down there, it has a limited reach. This will not help. We have to use another sector of the F3 menu. The shader information on the left. At the moment it displays negative 33. Now what does this negative 33 mean? Basically it is the highest block on your current position. Because if I look at this block right here, you can see on the targeted block its Y level is negative 33. So the shader information displays negative 33 since it's the highest block at my current position. Similarly, if I move down 2 blocks, the shader information now displays negative 35. But we already know this. However, what we can also do is just shift over the edge. Now, the block below us is the platform down there, and we can say that the shader information displays negative 59, which means we have figured out the platform Y level. And with that, all we need to do is do a simple calculation. Right now we are Y negative 34, and down there is Y negative 59. Let's calculate the difference between those by just subtracting negative 34 from negative 59. 25 blocks. 25 blocks would kill us, so we can just go down 1 block, that's 24, and another block, that is 23. And with that, you have perfectly figured out the amount of blocks to fall. If you knew this one, you're an absolute professional. And if you want a part 2, make sure to smash like. Until then, see you later.